guys, welcome back. I'm Captain Foley, and it is time for my first reaction review of tonight's episode. And thank you for joining me, everyone that's here. Hopefully, we'll have a good turnout again this week. Last week we had a great turnout, and it was really fun. Last week I did an hour and a half. I don't know if I'm going to go that long tonight, because as usual, I still have to go down and rewatch it and take my notes. So, sorry, because I didn't pick up the microphone. There we go. So, welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. And we'll try to make this not as long as last week, although last week was really fun to just got chatting with you guys and kind of off on a rant about other stuff last week, but that's fine. Um, what if Section 31 cripples Pike, says Meow Ryan. You know what? I thought about that. It would make perfect sense, actually, for him to get sucked into the Section 31 thing and do something for them. And Spock doesn't necessarily agree with it. And you know that Spock, if he's ordered to keep his mouth shut about Section 31 or a covert mission, he would. But he would go out on a limb to help his captain, who might be doing something against his will for Section 31 that he doesn't necessarily agree with. So Spock would feel obligated to do that. So yeah, I could see them doing that for sure. But I gotta say, for tonight's episode, my first reaction is basically, when you do Star Trek that feels like Star Trek, I personally really enjoy it. And I think that's exactly what was done tonight. So I bet Leland sets him up. Yeah, probably, but maybe not by choice. Maybe there's mitigating circumstances. You know, um, Starting out following the shuttle and locking onto it, it was kind of ruined already because I had seen the trailer for this episode where you see Giorgio walking off of the shuttle, and I'm like, it's Giorgio on the shuttle. And sure enough, as soon as you see the shoes, you're like, yep, definitely. And I feel like the trailers are a little bit spoilerish, and I hate that. For a second there, I was thinking, oh, they found Spock. That's great. Then as soon as they got the shuttle and the tractor into the shuttle bay, I was like, bet you any money it's Giorgio. So, um, but I mean, I can't stand Giorgio. Uh, I'm not a fan of the actress personally, and just her acting style. And every time she's on screen in this episode, I literally want to punch her in the throat, like with a bus. I can't stand her character, the smugness, the snideness. It just, um, and I love how later Pike's like, so is Tyler with us then? For now, unless you want Giorgio. He's like, no thanks. I laughed at that because that's exactly how I would be. Um, but yeah, this felt more like Trek again. Uh, Very cool concept, kind of crashing into the Spore network and going to rescue Tilly. I thought it was absolutely a fantastic premise, and the fact that spoilers, guys, these first reaction videos are spoilers, but I know she's an evil, smug empress, but even when she's not, even when she was Giorgio, I hated her. I just can't stand the actress or her acting. So, um, I thought the pacing was good as well. But yeah, I mean, to bookend the episode with the Spock thing was excellently done, and not mentioned in the middle at all, which is great. And just having a standalone episode, rescuing Tilly from the Spore Network and recovering Dr. Colbert. I thought that was fantastic. The fact that he's been there the whole time. And I got to admit, at the end, when he put his hand through the thing and it disappeared, my heart sank a little bit. And Sylvia was like all excited that he was back. And then she almost cried at that point. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm sure there's. And then because we have it on space, so there are commercials. So as the commercial was on, we we were like, there's still that cocoon there. We'll be able to transport him from the mycelial network to the cocoon. So it was already kind of laid out as to what was going to happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And because it's on Canadian TV and because it was, network television, it said the following program contains seeds of nudity and violence or whatever. And we're like, nudity? They almost never say that. So I was hoping for some Tilly nudity. Didn't get that. And then near the end, I'm like, it's going to be Colbert. We're going to see his butt when he comes out of the cocoon. So I don't know. I enjoyed the episode immensely. I thought it was great. Uh, the relationship between Pike and the Section 31 guy was, I think, very well done. And then Admiral Cornwall shows up at the end. I half expected that to be Giorgio wearing like a cloaking suit or something, which we never saw if it was or not. But I really expected that to be Giorgio kind of pushing. And did I call it or what? I've been saying all along that it's stupid to put her in Section 31 because she's going to be able to learn all your tech, learn all your secrets, and use that to her advantage at some point. And what happens? She basically blackmails the other guy by hacking his personal information and finding things out. So, yeah, TNG com badge. Because Tyler and, we could use some help here. And I love Pike. What the hell kind of communication device is that? Beautifully done. Pike was awesome, as always. Pike was spot on in this episode. The fact that this is my bridge, and he puts Tyler in his place a few times. I absolutely love that. He doesn't trust Tyler. He knows that something's going on with Burnham and Giorgio and Tyler, and he's going to let Burnham come to him in her time. He says they just don't want to have to chase you about the information. The way he handled it was awesome. But yeah, the way that Pike deals with the situation, even deals with Section 31, saying this is my ship. You'll hold on to our ship as long as or until I give the order. Beautiful, perfect. I love that with a passion. Pike should get his own show. I agree. What, Tilly went into the cocoon and changed into... no, she did not. Not at all. You'll have to watch the episode if you haven't already. The more I think about this episode, the more I like it, says Mako. I liked it from the get-go. Like I said, I do have to go rewatch it to take my notes, but I always appreciate it more on the second viewing. This one, to me, left me on a high, feeling like this is very much Star Trek. Stephen Julius puts in $5. Love the episode, even though they cheated on bringing Dr. Colbert back. Cheated how? I was kind of confused too because his physical body didn't enter the network, but I did like the explanation for how it came about, and then the fact that they already had the cocoon there on the Discovery. I thought that was great. One thing I really did like, I absolutely did like, was the fact that you see the Section 31 ship had like a chameleon cloaking device kind of thing. It can change its shape or appearance, and it decloaks and starts tractoring them out with like these tow cables with like the little things that they launch, which was neat. Dave Scarpa puts in $1.99. Thank you. Really turned off by Starfleet nation building. Yeah, the nation building line was a little excessive, trying to explain Section 31 and the need for it, but it is what it is. It's kind of what I anticipated. So, but that scene where the Discovery is like in the mycelial network and it looks like water, I laughed and said, man, that looks like Titanic. Somebody needs to, when we get a still from that scene, I'm going to have to Photoshop in the word Titanic on the hull. I think that'd be hilarious. Because it was pretty cool. Yeah, adaptive camouflage, not quite a cloak. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Wasn't there a Tyler on the Enterprise at this point too? I don't know. What do you mean? Uh, I thought the episode was terrible, felt rushed and predictable. The only stuff I like was all the stuff with Pike and the ending. Pike and his friends' exchanges. How does anyone know? How does everyone know about Section 31? I know. I I was wondering the same thing. It's like everybody is well aware of Section 31, and it's just like, oh, really, guys? Really? You got to do that to us? Um, Ryan Hale puts in $2. Why did Colbert's beard disappear? I wondered the exact same thing. Um, I wondered the exact same thing. I have no idea. That was something I think they should have left the long hair and the beard until the scene where he's in sick bay. That would have been fine. But yeah, when he came out of the cocoon like that, it could be that he was just he. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make much sense. Um, Captain, I'll do a disco Titanic for you. Thanks, Doug. Um, Aliens cleaned him up, maybe, yeah. So I guess the access to the network is now lost because they said once if you use that cocoon for that, we're going to be sealed here. Uh, and it's interesting that Dr. Colbert was at first. Sylvia had speculated that the monster they were talking about was the other Stamets from the Mirror Universe, and then like 5 minutes later, she's like, maybe it's Dr. Colbert. Maybe just his presence there. And I'm like, yeah, but how did he get there? So I didn't buy that right away, but the way they explained it was great. You know, he was just protecting himself from them because every time those things touched him, it burns. It burns. Um, I don't know. I thought it was good. I really did enjoy it. So the guy that sat in Chekhov's position during the cage. Yeah, but doesn't he die in the cage? John Saunders puts in $2. This really grabbed me and took me for a ride. Yeah, I totally agree. It wasn't quite what I expected. The lighting in this whole episode was just so dark, and the eerily blue lighting. So yeah, and I love the scene too where May says to Tilly, "Maybe they all died coming to rescue you." And Tilly's like, "Thanks for that." I got to admit, Mary Wiseman's acting is one of the best things about Star Trek. Just Mary Wiseman in general is one of the best things about Star Trek Discovery. But her acting has been so on point the last few episodes. A lot of people complain about her character. I think she does a fantastic job with her character, especially when things get real. She just straightens right out. If you remember when they were on the Glen, and it was like her first away mission, she was very much on point. She wasn't freaking out. She wasn't being silly. She was very much focused on her job. Same with this one. She very much came across beautifully. So my mic seems a bit low. Well, that's because I'm using this one, which is the one I always use when I'm up here. I'm just not holding it up here like I usually do. Kind of holding it down here to keep it out of frame, but everybody thinks I'm going to vape when I have this. Dave Scarpa puts in $1.99. Why was the Admiral still in an old uniform? One of those things. Like I said, I expected her to be Giorgio with a cloak, or the cloak she used when she beamed into Kronos, and she looked like a Klingon. I expected her to walk away and it be Giorgio and not Admiral Cornwall, but I like seeing Admiral Cornwall back. I rather enjoy her character, so. Cornwall did a Nechev on the guys. Section 31 does not take orders from an admiral. Also, no one in Starfleet other than a select few people know about Section 31. Absolutely, that's part of what makes them work, is the fact that nobody knows about them, or very few people know about them. But it could be said that maybe they dropped the ball a little bit since Enterprise, because in Enterprise it was still very hush-hush. And then in Deep Space Nine, it's again very hush-hush. So maybe somebody dropped the ball a few years ago, Section 31 came out, and then they're going to make it look like Section 31 disappears for good. and then they go back deep undercover. I don't know how that's going to work, but maybe Section 31 and just DS9 ain't the same animal. I always thought it would have been cool if, because Section 39 or Section 31, when we saw Sloan in Deep Space Nine, it would be so cool to me if Sloan was the only member of Section 31. He thought he was part of this bigger organization, but because they don't even communicate within their own organization, that he was the only one. I thought that would have made a fantastic story. Kind of him going off half cocked and thinking he's part of something bigger when he's really not. He's just delusional. That would have been cool, but the Starfleet Charter authorizes use of measures for extreme circumstances. So Section 31 was probably created during the war and will go away once the signal mystery is solved. Could be. The Spock shuttle looked like an Enterprise D shuttle. Well, yeah, it looks like all the shuttles they've had in Discovery so far. So, could be that after this incident with Spock, they go further underground. That's kind of my thinking. Something's going to happen. Section 31 is dissolved and forgotten. Section 31 exists in Enterprise 2. Yes, we talked about that. But that's only because it was introduced in Deep Space Nine first, and then they retconned it back to Enterprise, which is one of the things I hated about that. I wish it just would have been introduced in Section 31 and always kind of a mystery. Whether it existed, how involved it was, but now it's just like Section 31 does everything behind the scenes, and without Section 31, there would be no Federation. It's just like, I get it. That's the premise of the organization, but I think it's just stupid. I think introducing it into Enterprise was a huge mistake. Even though the books, one of the books called Daedalus, after the last episode of Enterprise, Trip gets recruited into Section 31, so they had to fake his death. So he's not really dead at the end of Enterprise, which works if you like Trip and you want him to stay alive. So Section 30 was in bed with the Tal Shiar. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see some Romulans in Discovery at some point, kind of pulling the strings, as it were. It's even been brought to my attention that one of the theories is that the paint that House of Call had, that was like a listening device in the one episode, which is stupid, but whatever. It seems very covert and very clandestine, and that's more falling in line with Romulans. And it could be that the Romulans have been contacting Klingons and working behind the scenes with some Klingon houses to destabilize the Klingon Empire, gave them the cloak, worked with the Kuvama. So I think we're going to get some kind of tie-in with that, because the Romulans are too big and important of a race to not be included in Discovery, even though they probably really shouldn't be at this point. But I think that's going to come into play at some point. Too early for the Romulans. You still can't see them. I know, Dave. I know. I just said that, and I totally agree with you. But just like Enterprise, you're going to see the Borg. You're going to see the Ferengi. You're going to see a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to see yet. But it makes good storytelling and ties everything in. It's just like, I have a bad feeling we're going to see the Romulans. I bet you the Romulans probably know about the spore drive and are preparing to hit the Federation before it can pose a threat to them. I mean, possibly. Why is it that Discovery, all men are stupid and reckless and need a female superior? I'm all about equality, but it's getting to be a bit much. Yeah, it seems like the scales have tipped from 1960s, men in charge, to now the women are all in charge and the men are stupid. There needs to be a balance there somewhere. We got to hit that balance. But in Enterprise, they got around it cheaply, but they still got around it. With the Romulans, yes. Or no, with the Ferengi and stuff, yes. The Romulans in Enterprise makes sense, just not those advanced-looking ships and being able to cloak and stuff yet. But with the Romulan War on the horizon, and that's something that we're going to tie into some of the later seasons, it made sense to have the Romulans make an appearance for sure. Yeah, I hope Quark shows up and offers to sell them some stuff. They are effing up the Shroom network. The Romulans fight now to make the TNG Com Federation. Think they'll throw in Ferengis? You know what? I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. I really wouldn't. Women were stupid in TOS. No, they weren't stupid, but in the last episode of TOS, that women couldn't be captains of starships, things like that. It was very much a man-dominated society in the '60s, and now it seems like we're going the exact opposite way, and it's not like that. It should be even across the board. They tried to do that with the representation in TOS, but there was still those little things like women couldn't be captain and stuff, which has been explained away. It's a good way. There's been explanations. Star Trek Continues did a good job of it, showing that there were female captains, and it makes perfect sense that there would be. So, no issues with that. Just they do make it seem like men are really stupid and reckless in Discovery, which bothers me a little bit. I'd rather a greedy Orion woman than a Ferengi. Well, it's fine to see Orion women because they talk about the Orions in the menagerie or the cage. So those were a big thing in Pike's time, like a few years earlier. So absolutely, bring on the Orions. I don't buy this SJWBS. I read that line completely wrong when I first looked at it. I saw BJ's. And anyway, think we'll ever see a K space station, maybe K5 or K6. Hope so. That would be excellent. Funny you mentioned that. We just filmed another new episode on the K7 space station, and you guys are really going to love it. It'll be out soon. We've already done one before. This is an updated version and much better graphics and stuff, so you guys can enjoy that on Trekyards if you are interested in that. In my opinion, the idea that nobody in the United Federation planets or Klingon Empire has ever seen a Romulan is kind of bullshit. How is it that nobody's... I hate when I'm reading a comment and it flies up above. How is it nobody's ever met a Romulan defector, refugee, or intercepted Romulan broadcasts? They know about the Romulan Empire. They know about its existence. They just don't know what they look like because they never established visual communications until Balance of Terror, which didn't make sense in Enterprise or anything like that, but it did make sense in the FASA canon and the Starfleet Battles canon, with like more primitive warships during the Romulan War. But we're not going to get into all that. If you want information on that, check out something called the Starfleet Museum. It's an internet page, and they've got the old style Romulan ships and stuff, which would have taken place in the Romulan War, right alongside or battling against the Daedalus class ships. And then Enterprise came along, and they had to tweak the timeline, which annoys me to no end, but whatever. I don't think the man seems stupid or reckless. Pike is the moral backbone of the episode, and Stamets is arguably the hero by saving Tilly. Then he saves his lover. Yes. Just got here, Captain Foley. Really enjoyed the episode. What was your overall opinion? Loved it. Thought it was great, and feels, again, like Trek. It's got that episodic vibe, but still maintaining that overarching story of Spock. I was really convinced for like a few minutes at the beginning that we were going to see Spock. But I'm like, how are they going to pull all this off in one episode if we see Spock right away? And then as soon as the shuttle gets tracked into the shuttle bay, I'm like, oh, that's right. I saw the trailer. It's Giorgio. And sure enough, I hated every scene she was in. I hate that. I just can't stand her. Can't stand the character. I can't. I don't know if I'll be able to watch the Section 31 show if that's what she's like the whole time. Still trying to figure out what the Red Angels are based on. What Cornwall and Pike and the Section 31 guy. Okay. Honestly, I think the better ending was the downer with Colbert making the sacrifice. Yeah, and I expected that to be a thing too for a second. And they did a really good job of messing with your expectations in this episode. And usually that kind of pisses me off. But in this one, it's like, they got me. Oh, wait a minute. And you figure it out what's going to happen before the characters do. I don't know if that's good storytelling or bad storytelling, but you can see where it was going. And I really enjoyed the twists in this, to be honest. Kind of the letting you think one thing and just messing with your expectations totally. Jojo was more convincing this time. Yeah, she was, but then the whole later Burnham's like, you're gonna, when she was smiling when she said give them another 3.5 minutes, did her thing. I'm like, she's gonna use this as a, I helped you out this time. You owe me a favor. And sure enough, Burnham said that, what do you want? You're gonna want a big favor out of this kind of thing. And Giorgio's like, just have faith, and she leaves. It's like maybe Burnham goes back with her to the Mirror Universe, and that's why we never hear of Burnham again. I don't know. If they do redeem her, that's kind of BS. She literally effing eats people. Yeah, yeah. She's space Hitler, as Samuel puts it. Not that Hitler ate people that I'm aware of, but you know what I mean. Just that evil. Um, no, Spock was trying to save her from Kirk. Save who from Kirk? Just got here. Sorry. Did they show Spock in this episode? I'm not going to answer that. Hold on here. Hitler did not eat meat, says Jax. Well, there you go. But is gangly a meat or is it a noodle? Because it looks like ramen noodles. Don't knock Kelpie until you try it. The Kelpian thing bugs me. The fact that people keep bringing it up. Pictures of Kelpie and Helper and all this shit. It's like, really, guys? Really? Tyler uses his comm badge. Yeah, that was hilarious. Dean Prater puts in $7. Thank you very much, Dean. I just wanted to let you all know I'm using your episode reviews to basically watch the show. It's more entertaining this way. Really appreciate it. That's a cool way of doing it. Hopefully we do them justice. Tune in tomorrow at 5 Eastern Standard Time for Samuel and my 2-hour breakdown of this episode where we just look at every scene and talk about it and break it down. Break it down. Yeah. Plus, we'll have our 20-30 minute review out tomorrow afternoon sometime that you guys can enjoy before the live as well. And then join us for the live if you want to put in your 2 cents. Kelpian tastes good. I like it roasted. Does it taste like chicken? Just wondering. I wish Enterprise had more of a Battlestar Galactica Babylon 5 style. That would have made sense, in my opinion, given the descriptions given in TOS and TNG. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, is it just me, or does Section 31 already have most of the technology from Next Generation? Pretty much, yeah. Well, it's like the CIA and the spies and stuff. They had cell phones and iPad devices back in the 60s before it was available to the general public. They always have. So what they have now, we'll be getting in 20 or 30 years as far as technology goes. So that's how the whole reverse engineering of the alien spaceships go. It gets filtered down through the government agencies and eventually to the public. I'm just saying. So, yeah. Yeah, I noticed the 1701 time code on the Orville when they were back when they were looking at the holodeck or the environmental simulator program. Time index 1701.07. It's like, really? And I looked at Sylvia and said, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "What?" I said 1701, and she's like, puts her hand up, and I give her a high five. Orville was good tonight, guys. Really enjoyed it. Had a very TNG vibe to it for sure. And yeah, don't worry, we're gonna do Orville reviews and stuff. We just weren't getting the views that we needed for them. But when the season is done, I think we'll go back and do the episode reviews for it. Because Discovery will also be done. So we're covering our Discovery stuff now. We'll do Orville to fill in that space afterwards. We just weren't getting the numbers that we needed for the work that we were doing. So is there After Treks this season? No, they're not called. They're not After Treks. There's a show on a Facebook Live show that is basically the new After Trek. I can't remember what it's called though. I feel like Orville is more Star Trek than Discovery. I've never heard that before. No, seriously, I hear that like 15 times a day, the day after Orville airs. It's like, yeah, it is very much Star Trek, and I superimpose Star Trek uniforms and stuff over the characters and on the ship because it is very much TNG, just kind of rehashed. But it's done very well, so I have no problem with it. I do enjoy the humor in it. I do enjoy Orville overall, so yes. I'm late to the party because I just finished the episode. Question: is nobody bothered by angels and resurrection? Um, I'm not bothered by it. I don't know what you mean. I heard today that all CBS Trek shows as of April are on pause. I have not heard that myself. Clyden is an asshole. Yes, he is. Orville's tacky jokes kill the vibe somewhat. Totally disagree. Totally think they're spot on. Everyday talk between everyday people, I think it's perfect. So I disagree with you there. Felt like a TNG war game episode at first. Yep. Orville is more like Star Trek than Discovery. I've never heard that before. Spock's Katra is floating through the entire known universe. We said no torpedoes, right? Yeah, I was there for that. We definitely said no torpedoes. Did I see that Nickelodeon is doing a Star Trek cartoon series? Yes, I did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails. Um, Hopefully, it'll be good. Michael Burnham seems overacting too high and too low. Yeah, I think it's the direction she's given though, because she's a pretty good actress and a nice person in person. But I think it's just the way they direct the character. I did like in this episode that she wasn't. She didn't have all the answers. She wasn't the one solving the problems. It was Stamets and Tilly figuring things out. So that I appreciated. When she said she had to join the team to go over to the network, I was like, ugh, just stay on the ship once. You don't have to be on every away mission. Just stop. Do you want to see a Gordon and Lamar only episode? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hello, T-Berg Sci-Fi fan. How are you? Have you seen the Midnight Edge? Oh my God. Have you seen the Midnight Edge videos about CBS being sued for Discovery plagiarism? Also about new Star Trek not being canon. Yeah. No, I haven't seen the video. I've heard everything about it. I know all about it. And everybody asks me that 15 times a day as well. I get messages. Did you see that video? Are you guys going to do a video on it? No, probably not, because it's stupid. I don't agree with the premise that they came up with. I should probably watch the video. I also had somebody too tell me yesterday that TOS is the odd man out, so TOS should be retconned, scrapped from the canon, and be called Legends, like they did with the Star Trek expanded or Star Wars expanded universe. And I thought that was the stupidest fucking thing I had ever heard. Because in TNG, in Deep Space Nine, in Enterprise. Whenever they went to the TOS era, it looked like it was supposed to, and they did a fantastic job of it each and every time. So, no, I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So, no. I noticed Nan is chief of security. I liked her in that role. Yeah, they made her chief of security. When she first came on board, in the first episode, she was an engineer. He said, talk to my engineer, and he points at her, and she answered the question or whatever. But so she went from engineering to security. That I don't understand, but sure. Does everyone remember the writing process in grade school? I think we just saw what revision and final draft does to a story I am up from. Okay, what? I don't know. LOL Legends. Yeah. Pre-CGI universe. She does look kind of tough, though. Oh, she does look tough, absolutely. I like her. I hope her character stays around. Hopefully she doesn't go back to the Enterprise with Pike. Hopefully she stays on Discovery. We now have the Doctor back, which is cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing where things go from here. I've been impressed with Discovery so far this season. It kind of let me down with episode 2 a little bit. Was it episode 2? Yeah, the Klingon one let me down a little bit. So it's kind of been a little bit of a wave, but not as drastic as season 1 was. I really enjoyed this episode. I like the ambiguity. No clear good or evil. Yeah, just the shades of gray. They even mentioned that. You've always been one of those gray kind of guys. Nobody blamed the Orville for being a Star Trek ripoff. That was kind of stupid. Why would the university-educated engineer of all of a sudden want to become a glorified mall cop? Right? Somebody on our last live last week said, no, she's security. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's an engineer. And then this week it's like, there's our new chief of security. And I was like, oh. So now I look stupid. And she was an engineer. I remember making a note of that because it's important. Whatever. She wasn't the chief engineer, because the chief engineer is still on the Enterprise making his repairs, as we find out from number 1 in the last episode. But she was an engineer. The other guy they brought over that died in that episode was a scientist, one of the science officers. So, anyway. The next episode preview has me concerned. If there is some twist on the Baul just being a big bad in the sky, I'll be really disappointed. Well, because I'm in Canada and it's on the Space Network, we don't get next week on Discovery. We don't get the previews, which is good because I don't like being spoiled, really. But because it's Trekyards, I kind of have to, before the next episode airs, I need to check those out at some point during the week, and I usually do. So I don't know what the next one holds in store. So nothing wrong with people changing career paths. No, I totally agree. Yeah. Red Spheres will connect to Captain Picard in the finale. Oh my god. Scotty did it all, just saying. It's a Saru episode next week. Oh, is it the one where he goes and saves his sister? Section 31 towing service. Oh yeah, big Section 31 on the door. Section 31. Tows, battery jumps, spore something. I don't know. Come up with something clever. How does the gravitas of resurrecting the Doctor rate against reuniting Spock with his Contra? I think almost equal. I would say equal. It's way more impactful than Into Darkness, where Kirk dies and is resurrected 5 minutes later. That just took all the woo out of that. But with Star Trek 2 with Spock dying, and then the wait for Star Trek 3, Leonard Nimoy's part of it. He's directing it, but he's in it not till the very end. I mean, I think the way they left Colbert and not really mentioned him at all was interesting. And then bring him back was fantastic. I thought that was great. So it had a good punch. I really would have liked the line where Well, when Stamets was on the bridge talking about how they were going to go rescue Tilly, and Tyler walks on the bridge, the look on Stamets' face, like, oh, you bastard. You know, it would have been funny if, or at some point in the future, if he says to Tyler, could you, like, not kill this one for me, please? Just, anyway. Kristen Montgomery, nighty night all. Good night. I'm so tired of Turnham. So often the scenes without her flow much better, and they don't. Continuously look to her to see how she reacts to everything. I would agree. I thought I saw Armis in the preview for next week. Section 31 is a precursor to Section 32. Just wait for Section 32. Damn, son. Bringing the Doctor back was a pleasant surprise and done really well, I thought. I totally agree with you, Multi-Gun Man. I think they did a fantastic job with that. And it's good to see him back because I really enjoyed the character. I enjoyed the interaction with him and Stamets. He kind of tempered Stamets a little bit. And Stamets has a reason to stay on the ship now if Colbert is going to stay and be the Doctor again, or a Doctor. He's not the Chief Medical Officer. Never was, not even in season 1, because one of the episodes he said, I have to go help the CMO, Chief Medical Officer, with an Andorian tonsillectomy. So, anyway. Spock absorbs Burnham's Contra in the final episode because she snuffs it. That's why we never mentions her. Yes, I know she isn't supposed to have one. Yeah, probably something like that will happen. Accounting is located at Deep Space Station 401K. That's funny. I wish writers would remember that Saru is the XO and not Burnham. It'd be like Ro Laren doing all of Riker's jobs. Yeah. They should put Tyler in a uniform as part of his cover. That would be a good idea. I watch stream feeds Pirate CBS. Well, that's not very nice. Official Shellyak Corporation next week. Or corporate next week. It's so strange how they don't want to commit to having a CMO or chief engineer. I know, right? Well, TNG did the same thing the first few seasons. The chief engineer was a woman at one point, then it was a bearded dude, and then Geordi eventually got his promotion and became the chief engineer. By the way, guys, you like the LCARs I got for this episode? It's like I'm talking to you from a TOS monitor. I like it, and I've got a bunch of other ones set up for a bunch of lives. And this live stream has been good, and I love that. That's awesome. So, woo! Section 401K arrives for an emergency audit. What did you think about the Section 31 comm badge? I thought it was interesting because, like I said, the spies and the government agencies have this tech, like, generally 10 to 15 years, sometimes more, before the general public. So I think that's very interesting, even though I know TNG is still like 100 or 90 years away or whatever. But makes sense for them to not have an actual communicator. But yeah, that was... I think it was kind of a bad choice to put in that tech. I know a lot of people are going to complain about that. I can hear it now. From people like Anti-Trekker and some other ones that I won't mention. A goddamn comm badge. Seriously, a comm badge. But anyway, it's whatever. It is what it is. I know how Giorgio's always got hers like here. In like the second episode with the Klingon, she's like on the bridge of the Section 31 ship with Tyler, and she's like, look at my badge. And it goes back, like, where is it? Where do you keep it? Do you keep it attached to your belt or in your pocket? Because even in this one with the turbolift, like, I can't stand that woman. God damn. I'd like to see Bajor in Discovery, find out why they, with like preoccupation. I hope not, because I can't stand the Bajorans. Anything about them, their culture, it bugs me so much. Every time a Bajoran episode on Deep Space Nine comes on, I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's watching my phone, doing things. Oh, B-plot. All right. Yeah, I can't stand the Bajorans. Burnham use of a communicator to the side of her face like a cell phone is annoying. Never noticed that. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Giorgio needs a badge wallet or a badge clip or something. Yeah, I agree. No Bajor. I agree. Say no to Bajor. It's like she has a spring-loaded Section 31 pin on her wrist like Lando's playing cards. Hey, guess what? I'm Section 31. Or am I? You're a paw wraith. Yes, I am a paw wraith. My secret is outed. Please don't speak ill of Major Kira. I hate Major Kira. I can't stand her character. She's just such a bitch, and she's always bitchy. I just can't. She developed a little bit, and going back and rewatching Deep Space Nine, I appreciate her a little more, but I still can't stand her. I don't like her. Sorry. Don't be a Bajor hater. Hey. I don't hate the Bajor. I hate the game. I'm waiting for Giorgio to pick her teeth with that black badge. That'd be funny, actually. I forget who it was last week. Somebody said something about Tilly there. But we've got Tilly, Killy, Stilly, and Drilly. Because she got drilled last week. So how many other nicknames can Tilly have? I forget who said that. So if it was anybody in the chat, please speak up. You need credit because that's hilarious. I've been using that ever since I saw it. Kira is a major Bajor. There you go. Which Dax did you like? I like both Daxes very much. Jadzia, I think... It's hard to say. I really like Ezri. She's cute. Not very confident, but I'm sure she would grow into that. Jadzia was very brazen. I didn't like the fact that she was always, having parties, and Worf even hated that, and Worf hated that she flirted with people and stuff. That stuff kind of bugs me too. But I get it. You've lived how many lifetimes? The Dax symbiont has to have some fun. So I like both of them, to be honest. I can't really pick a favorite. Dax was a hoe. Yeah. And don't tell me if you hadn't lived a few lifetimes that you wouldn't be a hoe either. I wish they'd do some of the silly TOS stuff like duplicate pre-Earths, Roman space gods, and Trelane even just for one episode. I'm sure they will. I mean, they kind of did that with the New Eden episode, having humans on this distant planet where they could never be. They kind of went there a little bit, but Dax was a hoe. Yes. Terry Farrell bailed on DS9, but she seems to get a pass. Yeah, I'm not sure what the details behind her leaving were. I don't think she bailed necessarily. It was something wrong with the contract. I don't know if it was a money issue, but I don't know. But the whole series essentially until like the last episode or the last season. So I think she deserves a pass. She did a fantastic job. Plus now she's married to Adam Nimoy, which is weird because in Trials and Tribulations he's like, I didn't think he was. He's more handsome in person. Oh, be careful. Kirk had a reputation as a ladies' man. Not Kirk, Spock. And now she's like married to Leonard Nimoy's son. That's just some weird karma, predestination, paradox shit going on there. She wanted more money. Well, that's kind of shitty then. That I don't really agree with too much. Hi, Captain. I'm here now. Well, that's kind of useless because I'm going to be wrapping it up soon, but thanks, Jeff. Would it be Curzon Dax in Discovery? No, I think it'd be Emily, the gymnast, because she had a thing with younger McCoy. So, yeah, I think it'd be Emily. Something about her makeup made her really uncomfortable, a major allergic reaction or something like that. Well, that makes sense, but I mean, damn, 6 years of doing it. Okay, bye. Bye, Jeff. Lorca is next to bring back from season 1. Yes, we need to see Prime Lorca. Have him come back in some capacity. I don't care if it's even a flashback episode where he's working with Captain Giorgio, if they actually work together. Or there's a novel where they work together. So even a flashback episode would be fantastic. Told from, I guess it'd have to be Burnham's. Burnham has to solve a mystery and finds all these logs and reads the logs, and it's a flashback. I don't care. Just bring back Lorca. I want to see a Prime Lorca. Lorca is dead. Yes, we know. Or is he? He disappeared in the mycelial network, so maybe he can come back too. He died in the Mirror Universe, or they were retconning that. Well, he was... We're not sure he died in the Mirror Universe. I don't know. We'll see. David Bassick puts in $2. When did Curzon Dax join Starfleet? Could see him in Discovery. Not sure. I can see this being the end of the Emily Dax character, this kind of time period, and then going to the next one. Who knows? I hope they are continuing to phase out the spore drive after this. I realize it's important right now, though. Yeah, I've kind of enjoyed the way they've been handling it. They mean to seal it up, but then something happens, and I think it's probably on its way out, though. Although with the red orbs being like 30,000 light years apart or whatever they were, it might be needed again. I don't know. Does it seem like mycelial network is similar to fluidic space from Voyager? It seems very similar, absolutely, yes. Tilly would have been safe if she was with you. You know what? I totally agree. I would take such good care of her. They seem to sidestep the whole idea of closing access to the network. Well, they were meaning to do it, and then stuff kept coming up. And they said in this episode, the May character said that if you use that cocoon for what you're suggesting, that'll seal off our access to your realm or something. So I don't... Says the scorpion to the frog. Isn't it the spider to the fly? Wow. Yeah. I think it was better when Chakotay used that reference in Voyager, personally. But can they keep Tilly with long hair? She looks so much better. I like all her hairstyles. I plastered to her head is a little, but a lot of times when it's down, it's also puffy. So it's like you need a nice balance there. It was nice when it was wet, and this episode it was very much manageable. But I do like the little 2 Leia buns that she has at some points. So yeah. If Discovery lands in the Delta Quadrant, would you bring in the Borg? Bring in the Borg. I mean, maybe. It just means she specifically can't talk to Tilly anymore. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Tilly's hair versus Burnham hair. Who wins? My God. Burnham's hair is fantastically weird. It's like this, and it's like this, and it's like this, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know how she does it. Don't provoke the Borg. Yeah. Saru hair wins. There you go. Only if it was inside the nebula where communications and transporters were disabled. That way they can talk to the Borg ship or get boarded by drones, but still have spooky encounters. I mean, there are ways to do it without announcing that they're the Borg. In Enterprise, they never said they were the Borg, I don't think. I think they went out of their way to not include that in Enterprise. They did not say, we are the Borg, resistance is futile. I think it was just resistance is futile. So, seriously a great episode. I agree. The 25% different thing is redonkulous. How the heck can they measure that? They eyeball it, I guarantee you. I love Tilly's hair like a fairy or something. Yeah, I like Tilly's hair too. I do like curly red hair. It's like one of my kryptonites, and just the different style she has is really cool. I like to see it in like ponytails, you know, power steering. I know I'm a pig. I apologize. Yeah, I didn't think they said the Borg in the Enterprise. I was looking for that the first time I watched it. Lots of technobabble in this episode, and you know what? Technobabble is Star Trek. That's one of the reasons I think this episode felt like Star Trek. Not just the episodic nature of it, but yeah, the writing is getting better. It's getting Star Trekky. So don't really care for the amount of involvement Section 31 has in this season. Maybe scale it back a bit. I 1000% agree. But if what Alex Kurtzman has said is true, at the end of season 3, they're going to start the Section 31 show, and it'll probably run congruently with Discovery. So I think once that happens, Section 31 will not really be mentioned in Discovery because it'll be its own thing. But until then, they need to do a build-up to get interest in the Section 31 show if that's what they want to do. So I'm really enjoying this season so far, but I wish they would stop focusing on Michael so much. That's kind of the general consensus that I've heard. Yeah. Did not need the slow-mo opening and end of the episode with narration. Ugh. Yeah, I thought the same thing at the beginning. I was like, wow, really? Nothing Klutzman says is true. That's kind of the view I take on it, too. I got no respect for that man. I don't know. The Elcars are less awesome tonight, Captain. Well, they'll be different every week, man. Got to do something different, and this is not distracting. This is to the point, but it feels TOS. You know, it's cool. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. What's with tonight's episode title, Saints of Imperfection? Yeah, I don't know. Usually the title ties directly into the story. I'm sure there's some explanation for it, but I couldn't tell you what it is. If it makes it to it'll make it to season 3. All this naysaying that it's not going to get renewed for season 3, I think is stupid. So when it's in season 3, I will by all means say I told you so. However, if it does get canceled after season 2, which it won't, I'll be like, you guys were right. You know, you were right. But I can guarantee you that you're not going to be right. I stand corrected. Elcars is very TOS. Yes. If anyone, I want them to bring in Mr. Eriks or Lieutenant Amras from the animated series into Discovery. Yes. Absolutely. Even just for a small scene, perhaps, when they see the Enterprise again at the end of the season, to send Pike back, to have that would be cool. Yeah, it seems impossible though. If 25% should it be called Star Trek? If only the writers would stop pushing Berman so hard and give other characters a chance to grow. We like you, Berman, but we like you, Berman, but we'll hate you if we're force-fed. Yeah, I don't even like her that much. So, greetings, Noel. Now, is it the Noel that I'm thinking of? The Noel that you need to message me on Facebook if it is, because I need to talk to you. I want to talk to you. But if it's a different Noel, hello, Noel. What do you think about Black Alert? I think it's cool, actually. You know what else hasn't received a season 2 pickup? The Orville. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's my thinking, exactly. I just didn't say it, but yes. Anti-Trekker is online. Well, I good for him. Say hi for me. Captain Foley says hi to Anti-Trekker. Ooh, Captain Foley is on the bridge. Captain Foley, do you have plans started for London Comic-Con? Not specifically, but I will be at London Comic-Con next year, this year, whatever year. Yes. Forget Section 31. I would rather see a Pike series that takes place between the current time of Discovery and the beginning of TOS. 100% agree with you. I think it'd be cool. And they could do that because they have built a bridge for the Enterprise, apparently. And it brought one person to tears because it reminded them of watching TOS with their mother. So I have hope that it looks somewhat TOS and it looks like the original bridge. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, if they spent the money to build the set, it makes sense that they should use it either as a different Constitution class at some time in Discovery or as the Enterprise for like a mini series with Pike, because Pike is proving to be very popular. They need to take advantage of that. Emergency alert. Peel Regional Police activate Amber Alert. Victim is Raya Rajkumar, age 11. Suspect is Rupesh. Where'd it go? Well, that's stupid. There was an Amber Alert for a missing kid, and now it's gone. But I was trying to read it to the people so that I could help the Amber Alert people, the police, whatever. I just got the alert too. You must be in the area. For God's sake, show us the bridge. We will see the bridge. I'm sure we will. Probably one of the last episodes. Where does Discovery's growth from Season 1 rank for you? I still cannot stomach Season 1 of TNG, but Season 2 showed what was to gone in the golden years, 3 to 6. I think it's on par with TNG, to be honest. Every Trek series needs to find its legs. Deep Space Nine, TNG, Enterprise, even the first season was kind of Enterprise was probably better than TNG or Deep Space Nine, but Discovery's on the same path. I mean, if this goes 7 seasons, let's say, we're going to look back at Season 1 and go, ugh. Can you remember when we hated Discovery, guys? And some people will probably still hate it just out of stubbornness. But I think a lot of people will be on board. I've heard a lot less complaining this season from the naysayers than I did for Season 1. It seemed like Season 1, everybody was against it. A small minority was with it. Now it seems like, it was a pretty good episode tonight. Yeah. It had some issues, though. Yeah, okay. Let's be quiet now. It seems to go that way. So I think it's grown quite substantially since Season 1. But did Voyager ever find its legs? You know what? I think Voyager was consistent from the get-go. It had a fair share of good and bad in each season, and it was pretty standard across the board for all 7 seasons. So, Amber Alert is for missing children in Canada. Yes, it is. I was very disappointed Jet Reno was mysteriously missing from this episode. She was supposed to be standing right next to Stamets in that opening scene. You're 1,000% correct. And I completely missed that fact. I need to go rewatch this episode and take my notes, guys. So I'm going to call it a wrap. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me for this last hour. I do have to go watch it and take notes and then go to bed and get up early and stuff. So I don't want to get up early, but anyway, thank you for watching, and join me next week for the same thing, probably about the same time. If Orville's a repeat like it was last week, it'll be earlier, but generally around 10:30-ish is when these first reactions will be coming out. And don't forget to join us tomorrow at 5 Eastern Standard Time as we do a full breakdown, 2 hours talking about the episode, both Samuel and myself, and where I'm going to get frustrated with him talking too much. But that's okay, because he does have some very great points. And sometimes he just keeps talking about the same thing over and over again, and it could wrap it up really quickly, very concisely, but he doesn't. But that's okay. I still love the guy. So join us for that, 5 o'clock tomorrow. And in the afternoon sometime, expect our 20 to 30 minute review of this episode where it's both of us talking about it and our thoughts on it. And then little bonus episodes throughout the week based on little things that we see in the episodes that we like to generate conversation about. So Anyway, guys, like I said, thank you very much for joining me. See you soon. Go watch Anti-Trekker. Go watch some of the other people on the internet, and I appreciate everyone that tunes in to watch these. You make me feel so good. You really do. So, until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley. See you later. Bye bye.